Hey folks, welcome back to another podcast episode here on the Happy Catty Crypto channel. My name's Jay. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here from the start, welcome back. So this episode's quite important, and it's probably one of the most important ones to myself personally and for the overall movement itself. Now, I've got Strafe on. Strafe's a developer that I got in touch with what seems like an eternity ago now. He's the guy behind the Penguins website. He's the person who makes dreams a reality, and he just does all these complicated things that I consistently ask him of. Strafe, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, I am a developer and I try to support the Link community with what I'm able to. And now I'm trying to have a little small, nice conversation with Jay.
Yeah, so we're just going to be talking about really, Strafe, tell us what started this website. How did it start? Can you explain to people what spurred this kind of to where it is now, and having all of these kind of additions that we have, the tickers that we've put on, and the work that you've put into this is, selfless. You're not paid, are you, Strafe?
No, I'm not paid, but I have a small donation button on the website, but that's all. So we don't want to put advertisement on the page or something like that because, and we won't get paid by other parties because I want to have on the page what I want to or what you would like to see, and not what someone with money donates, dictates.
Yeah,
So
it's
I think
been
it's better the way that it is.
it's always been very important to both of us, hasn't it, to kind of keep this website completely ad free at all times. It's a source of information for the community to centralize around, and it really has become that. People, influencers, I've even been told Binance use our website, which is absolutely insane, and the traffic it receives is great. So, Strafe, tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you able to do this? How are you able to build this website to this efficiency? And, I ask for more and more complicated things, don't I?
It depends. Sometimes, yes. Um, in my life, I'm a web developer, more Web 2 than Web 3 crypto, and server administrator. And when I stumbled across Lunk, I got more and more interested in how the things work and how it sticks all together. And so I set up a full node. That's something you need if you want to become a validator, which I don't want to become myself, but I needed a full node to make all those queries to the chain that if I would have done it to public nodes, that wouldn't have been nice because I might have overloaded them. And when I started that, I mostly tried to track some money flow from Binance, for example, bigger wallets, swap activity during the crash. And that's how it started, that I put up some charts, mainly for myself, to see how wallet balances developed. And when I got in contact with you, I realized, and maybe you realized, that it might be good to bring more and more things, more and more statistics to the page. And yeah, you have more and more ideas what we can put up, and I try to get that things done if I think too that they are helpful for the community. And yeah, that's why we just added two further menu items.
We have indeed. We have indeed. And they'll be coming soon, very soon. And, you never fail to impress me. And guys, if you're listening, Strafe's I consider him part of my family, because what we've been through together and what we endure together it's not all, it's very emotional, but it's also bonding because we believe in the same thing. And I will always work very closely with Strafe, and he's my technical advisor for pretty much all the if, buts, coconuts, ins and outs and everything. But, Strafe, tell us a little bit about what's going on with these you can see it from a developer's standpoint. What's going on with these 5%, 10% proposals? What's your sort of thoughts on these?
Personally, I am glad that they didn't pass the way they were made, because from what I was made aware of, and I heard it in the Twitter spaces during the last days, that there was kind of a negotiation between validators, so they could come up with a united proposal of what could be done for the commission rates, because I think most of us and most of the community agrees that the voting power is currently way too centralized. And what PFC does is not something you should do, in my opinion, because if you want to do a negotiation and come forward with a proposal from all the parties together, you should not put out proposals beforehand for yourself that were not voted on internally. And as you already stated before, they didn't have an Agora text before they were brought up. I think the Agora text was put up a few hours after the proposals. Even if we maybe need a minimum commission rate or a maximum voting power at some time, the way those proposals were brought up is something that I would say, okay, you need to vote no just for the cause, because I don't want to support something that is done that way. Regarding the maximum voting power, it is really a tough topic, because on the one hand, we need something to decentralize the voting power. On the other hand, it's kind of the duty of the validators to educate people to stake with them, be more active on Twitter, be more active in social media, to get in contact with the delegators, with the community. So I would prefer something that is not enforced, if it's possible. And currently, not even new validators can join. So yes, I agree, there might have to be something prepared in the background. So if we see new validators join and it still doesn't get more decentralized, there maybe has to be a hard cap or a minimum commission rate or something. But currently, the proposal was at the wrong time, totally.
Yeah, definitely, and time into everything. I believe with these proposals, and not putting up an Agora text with it is just, it's not good, and it does state. And for a validator to actually do this is kind of, an eye turner, and then putting yourself to a 0% commission rate afterwards, just even worse. It just goes to show. But having this whole commission rate cap or whatever, I think it needs to be more dynamic. And we've spoken about this many times, Strafe, about, them educating more people to come delegate their bags and actually educate them, explain them why it's a good thing, why you should do it, and why you should spread your delegations and stuff like that. And, having a minimum commission rate is something I solely believe in. I believe there should be at least a 2% minimum commission rate. And it just wipes out then anyone doing 0% commission rates at any time. But this is all something the community would have to decide on. We would have to put proposals up. But, as more coins become delegated, it's going to be even more imperative to kind of have this dynamic kind of commission rate, would you say, Strafe?
The problem is with the commission rate, with the minimum commission rate that I see is, let's say Orion Money raises its commission rate by 3%, like they did. They are still at 18% voting power. So it doesn't seem that the commission rate has an immediate effect. It will take time to rebalance. And From what I am aware of in the code, there's only one single point in the code where the maximum voting power is set currently, the 20%. So if they would only change this line to 10%, it would not affect the current voting power. So you still would have to wait until people redelegate, undelegate, and until that is done, no further delegators could stake with maybe their preferred validator. And the voting power during the votings would still be at 20 or 18 or whatever percent. It would not have an immediate effect. So if they want to limit the voting power to 10%, they would need to implement further steps like capping the voting power during the tally of the votings of the proposals. And I think that everything that they would now do would require a chain update, a V23 or whatever version it would be called. And you know how many days it took the last time, because currently we want to rely on TFL merging the code, because if they don't, and TR has to bring up their own version, all the validators would have to agree to install the Terra Rebels repository. And we have been through that during the last proposal, and you know that it all takes time. And I think it would not really make sense to do this currently, as they have V23 in discussion for maybe Christmas, if they manage to do it.
Yeah.
And so that would mean you would need an intermediate update for just changing maximum voting power, because it is fixed in the code. So if I could make a wish to all the validators, I would say, please get on one table, discuss it, and come up with something that you all agree to, or most of you agree to, without it being enforced. Like saying, okay, if we raise above a voting power of 2%, we must have a minimum commission rate of X. Or if we raise above 10% voting power, we have to raise our commission rate again to maybe 5%. That wouldn't be something enforced. That would be something that the validators have to agree on and then do it. So I'm not sure if that would work, but it would have the benefit that there's nothing that would have to be implemented. There's nothing that would have to be enforced. And so that's always what I would prefer.
Yeah, and I would prefer that pretty much all validators would get under the same table and kind of come up with these internal rules, so to speak. Not so much rules, but a code of conduct, like you've mentioned previous to me, Strafe, would be a pretty good idea if we could get them all. Possibly, you know, a validators. I know there's some sort of validators alliance that's been built, and I know a lot of validators are a part of that, but a lot of validators aren't. But I think a validators roundtable where, you know, just validators can speak is a really good idea, in my opinion. Now, we're not validating yet, but we will be soon, Strafe. So I have no doubt if someone hasn't created it by then, we can take it upon ourselves to actually do that and try and incentivize, you know, other validators into getting involved with this code of conduct, so to speak. So Strafe,
I think there is already some kind of internal round. They are discussing things. I'm not sure if it's in the TR Discord or where they do it, but it would be nice if there were more validators joining that and discussing internally. And as you mentioned, a code of conduct, or at least a small agreement about the commission rate. That would be a great thing. And those people who don't stick to that the community will hopefully recognize then.
Well, there's a lot of validators, and this is a huge thing. Like, there's so much talk about voting power being centralized into these certain validators, but they're the ones that are really outspoken. They're the ones that actually put in work to educate people. From what I can see from their websites and things like that, they do have tutorial guides. They do explain and break things down, and they do incentivize, but not all of them do. And some of these validators are just here to capture the rewards until the Oracle pool's empty. And Strafe, we talk about the pool quite a lot. We track the pool on the LUNCPenguin's website, but you know, it's going to run out in around a year and a half, right? According to our mathematics.
It will not completely run out in 1.5 years, but you have to keep in mind that it will distribute around 44% of its holdings per year. So it is a fluent process. It will get lower and lower, and such the rewards will get lower, and also, of course, the amount that drains will get lower. But from what I calculated, and I hope I did everything right, the Oracle pool, or no, let's say it different. The Oracle pool currently was mainly funded by the crash because there were loads of swap operations during that time. And from the time of the crash until now, already, I think, 65 billion of the Oracle pool were distributed. And that means that the rewards have already become lower, and they will further become lower, because some people say, yeah, Oracle pool is not only funded by swap, but also by the transaction fees. But you have to think about the transaction fees now are around 0.6 LUNC per transaction in average, I would say. And before capitulation, they were lower. They were around 0.001 to a maximum of 0.01 LUNC. But that is nothing related to the lower value LUNC has currently. So if you say the transaction fees are now 300 times higher than before, but the price is 166,000 times lower. So the part of the transaction fees that contribute to the rewards are significantly lower than they were pre-capitulation. And so the Oracle pool and the funds that are in it currently are really a huge amount, a huge share of what is distributed as rewards. And so it's really important not only to say, yeah, okay, it will last for at least 1.5 years. Yes, it will. But after 1 year, it will have drained nearly half of its value, and such can only distribute half of the rewards from the Oracle pool. So there have to be ideas to come up how to fund the Oracle pool. Swapping, but swapping enabling will not be an easy thing. I hear many people being excited about swapping maybe enabled in the next version, or
it's a long way off. It's a long way off.
Yeah,
more like V24.
It's a long way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then, which would be early 2023, that would mean maybe I misunderstood something. But what worth is the swap if you don't have a pegged UST? Who will swap to UST if you have to pay $1 worth LUNC to get 1 UST? Because currently, if they don't change the fundamentals of the market module, one USD is pegged to $1 internally. There is no exchange rate for USD in the chain. USD is $1 for all the calculations, and that's why, for example, the rewards are off when you look at the Terra station, because they calculate USD as $1 and show the link that you would get if USD was worth $1.
Yeah, it's a big issue. It is a big issue, and USTC, in my opinion, is one of the biggest, and is going to be one of the biggest issues for us to pretty much overcome as a community, because we've got a huge supply distribution issue. But going back straight onto this whole situation with the Oracle rewards pool, now there's people that believe the burn tax is going to send us to the moon. There's people that believe the burn tax is going to absolutely destroy the blockchain. And there's been some comments made by CZ in a slip up recently where he answers a question incorrectly, so to speak. It's quite interesting. I'm going to be doing a video on it later on this evening, but you know, we could always, and funding the Oracle rewards pool is key to continuing paying out rewards, right? So maybe it's possible of doing a 50-50 split with this burn tax. Instead of burning, 1.2%, 50% of that goes to burn and 50% goes, to the Oracle rewards pool to help fund the future of this blockchain, and possibly trying to figure out some way of using that tax to actually better the overall community. What do you think?
In general, I would agree. But I think also that would have to be something very dynamic, because
100%.
The reason that the reason that we currently rely on the Oracle pool that was filled is that Link has such a low value. So let's say we manage, for whatever reason, to make Link 10 times. Then the rewards that are currently distributed are really, really much more worth. And so we would need less from the Oracle pool. So how critical it is with the Oracle pool draining depends on how Link develops. And there we are back again with utility and such things to raise Link in value. Because if we manage to get Link really, really a good recovery, we don't have to rely on the Oracle pool anymore. Because Link will have such a huge value that, let's say, 10% of the current Oracle pool would still be enough to pay the same rewards worth in US dollar.
Yeah, and I've explained this to quite a few people. The theory is, as the price goes up, the rewards actually go down, and the amount that they're worth actually go up, so to speak. But that's the theory behind it. But like you're saying, and I'm always pushing this, utility. We can't sit on a bag, burn a bag, and expect the price to go to the moon. It really is down to getting use cases on the coins itself. And I've discussed this many times with Zada. Bring enough use case, there will not be enough coins. And we can apply SHIB's market cap to our market cap and sort of see that is actually possible. So, and they've apparently you can pay for a Porsche with Shiba Inu, but I'm yet to see somebody do it. So, yeah. Strafe, let's talk a little bit more about, this whole idea behind repegging USTC. What do you think about the supply issue? What's your perspective about the supply issue of USTC?
I think you mean the centralized holdings of USTC mainly, and it's quite hard to say how it will develop. That I talked with you about the draft from Alex about repegging UST and how he would propose to handle the UST supply. I don't know if you would want to cover this in this podcast episode.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to, because
Okay.
ultimately
Okay. So
with
I
Alex's proposal, right? It's the biggest issue with that proposal is the supply, and my issue with him doing up this whole, we'll just swap people's USTC out, is the point where we're not actually decentralized anymore. Sorry to butt in, Strafe. Carry on.
no problem. Yeah, the proposal would really, let's say, it would would rely on the fact that it states link holders are not responsible for the UST situation. And that means they would force swap or force burn like maybe 97% of all UST holdings. That would mean, let's say you have 1,000 UST in your wallet. Afterwards, you would only have 30 UST in the wallet. But the thing is, those 30 UST would be worth the same as the 1,000 UST were before. Because if you burn 97%, the supply of UST would equal the market cap afterwards. So the proposal relies on the fact that you burn all the UST supply down to the current market cap and immediately repeg it to $1. And with that done, you would compensate the UST holders by additionally dropping VLUNC, and that's where I name it bad word minting currently, because every time you say something about minting, people jump at you. So that would be that would be LUNC minted for the value of those 97% burned UST. And at the time the draft was first made public, that would have been around 700 billion LUNC. Currently, as UST is higher in value compared to LUNC, it would be, I think, 1.25 trillion LUNC that would be needed. So this proposal or this draft working, in my opinion, highly relies on a good LUNC value compared to UST. You cannot manage to, let's say, mint 2 trillion to do this. That would be insane. But you might be able to mint vested LUNC, so locked LUNC for, let's say, 6 months, for maybe 500 billion or something like that, or even lower if the LUNC price rises and UST does not. So what you also have to think about is that this proposal relies on the fact that I am not sure about, and I think you are neither, that the LFG UST holdings could be burned and are kind of community owned. Because the vested LUNC, of course, would be distributed in an equal share as the UST holdings were before. And the big wallets that currently hold UST are LFG, TFL holdings. There are some other that are community related. I don't have them in mind currently, but 20 to 40% of the UST holdings are either community owned or at least slightly related to the community when you talk about LFG. I'm not sure. So let's say 20%. So the newly minted LUNC would also be 20% to 40% owned by the community and used to build up reserves in different currencies to hold the peg later and defend the peg. And in general, I agree that maybe this proposal could work to repeg, but two things that bother me and I'm not sure about. First, what will happen with the UST holders? Will they try to to get revenge, so to say, for being burned their holdings? And the second thing is, it is still not 100% clear to me if and how the peg can be secured afterwards. And so I wait for the white papers that Alex and some others are currently working on, because I'm really interested in how it would work and if I think it could work.
Yeah, me too. And if they can come up with a solution that will work, you can get people's head around minting, but you just need to not ram it down people's necks. It needs to be thoroughly explained, and there needs to be evidence showing that this is going to work, instead of doing it again and attempting to save a coin that we already attempted to save before. And, in that actual white paper he released, they don't actually know the exact amount they would need to mint. They can't confirm that. So there's big issues surrounding that. But, I believe the key, and you might think this too, Strafer, you might think differently. If we do get USTC repegged, I believe the key to maintaining the peg is between Terra Classic and Luna. And both of them maintaining it, I think, would make it much stronger. And it makes sense. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that hear the word Duquan and instantly, they're having nightmares. They're raising the pitchforks, the torches are out, and they're all heading down the road, kind of thing. So, yeah, very interesting.
I think it is an interesting idea to use both chains or both coins to secure the peg. But one thing that is really important is to first build more reserve than LFG did, because they had way too few reserves to defend the peg, and you have to diversify more, because you all know what happened when they dumped BTC on the market while BTC was already dumping slightly. It brought everything down further, and of course made their BTC worthless, and such gave them even less power to defend the peg. So you would need to really diversify and think about what reserves you can build, what you need to defend. And there was one thing, I think it was in the Twitter space, someone said you can be attacked from one or two directions. But if you have reserves in, let's say, 10 different fields that you have always access to, or that you can take loans on, then you are way harder to attack, because no one has the ability to attack, let's say, stock market at the same time as gold price, at the same time like BTC, Ether, and so on. And so I think diversifying is really important to secure the peg. And as you said, 2 chains would be a great deal, but I think it can be problematic until the time where both prices are more near together, because currently, how would you peg?
Exactly.
You would have to, you would have to, let's say, peg Luna V2 to Lunk at the same time, because you somehow have to be able to get the value of both regarding to UST. And I think at the moment that would be nearly impossible.
Oh, totally. The other biggest issue is as well, and this is like these underlying issues that are just like brushed aside as if they don't exist, is that Duquan stated in the Coinage second episode that he has a plan for the LFG guards, and they're currently building up a snapshot for people to make a counterclaim. So it's just like, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves, in my opinion. And this is just my opinion, is that the main focus and drive should be on utility, adoption, getting more people to delegate, having these validators do their roles of what is, if you're a validator, you're playing a key role. It's just, the issue we're seeing is a lot of validators are just here to get the rewards until they dry up. It's a big issue. It really is. And
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that, Strafe. What do you think about these
No,
validators? You know,
no,
it's obvious, isn't it, to people like ourselves, because we see it, we're studying it, we're trying to get involved with it as much as possible. And like I said, you're my technical guideline for everything. You know, there's never a thing I don't really speak to you about, and the future of my node will be run by myself and you to ensure that this community gets the best experience they can from the node we're going to provide. But yeah, talk to us a little bit, Strafe. Tell us.
yeah, the validator situation, it might be that I'm kind of bit in a bubble on Twitter, so to say, because of course I have my followers, I am following some people, and so it might be that I am a bit biased about how much communication comes from the different validators, but there are barely any names on the validator list that I see popping up on Twitter. And of course, it's not easy for all of them. Maybe there are some of them that just are very small and barely could survive the crash or keep the node running afterwards. But that's one reason why I think a minimum commission rate is quite a bit dangerous in regards to new validators that might rely on zero commission for, let's say, 2 or 4 weeks just to make a bit of marketing. But at the same time, later on, the commission rate has to be raised because running at 0% is not healthy. So it's really a tough one to think about because I don't like enforced limits, as I said before. But yeah, the validators have to play their role. And as you said, they have to do more to educate. And currently it's up to influencers or the community to try get the voting power decentralized. And the most I read on Twitter about decentralization of voting power is not from validators. And it should be. It should not be, oh, I get too much voting power, I want more voting power. It should be explaining why it is important, why it may be keeping new investors away because they fear that the chain is in danger because of the centralized voting power. And that is something that we might think, okay, we are not in danger because those nodes that are currently in high voting power are not bad players. But for people that just come to the chain, look at it and see, oh dear, 2 validators can block every decision. 3 validators can vote through every proposal they want to. Why should they invest? Why should they take that risk?
Exactly, and this whole situation around, validators moaning they've not got enough voting power. Why should these people delegate with them when they're not even, as far as people are concerned, they're just a name behind a screen. They don't know who they are. And some of the validators that are quite high up are just there to get the rewards. It's as simple as that. And we need better validators. It's 37 days, 7 hours, 53 minutes and 20 seconds and counting, Strafe, until the node is birthed. So we are really looking forward to the future. And myself and yourself have both dedicated pretty much everything we've got to this movement. So educating people is key, and it could solve this huge voting power issue itself if all the validators started actually validating and getting involved. And as much as people get sour about LUNCDAO, at least he's involved with his community, and it makes sense that he gets the attention that he does because of the sheer fact he's involved with his community, regardless if it's talking about elongating whatever. He's still validating. He's still providing hope for people. He educates people too. He has his own guides on how to go and delegate coins and stuff like that. He incentivizes people to spread their delegations. So we have good validators, just not enough of them. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I understand, and I know you would like to have the date for new validators put earlier, and I would like that too. But it's the same as for the commission rate limit and such things. You would need a software update. The block height for new validators is fixed in the code. So if you would say, okay, we need 20 days earlier, you would have to go through getting the validators on board, implementing the line of code change to set the new block height. You would have to get the merge done by TFL if you don't want to force using the Terra Rebels repo. And when all that would be done, I guess there are not even those 20 days left. So it makes sense to having the wish to get the time earlier, but I fear from the technical perspective,
it's not doable.
It wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I know. This been
sadly not, and I understand why. The 60 days were chosen at the first.
Oh, of course. I
totally understand it. So I won't blame somebody for choosing those 60 days that we are now stuck to, but sadly, I don't think it's possible to change it now.
No, it's really not. Like you said, it would mean basically bringing V23 forward. I totally get it. Strafe, I'm just upset that certain people have been able to be, gifted nodes or whatever, and we're just kind of sat on the sideline, but we don't care. We're doing it the correct way and stuff like that. And we're going to be here to support every other validator out there and explaining to people, don't delegate all of your coins with us. Spread your delegations about, look into what these nodes are all about. Not all of these nodes are good neither, by the way, folks. You really do need to go through and read about what they're in it for, what countries they're from, and background histories. It's not a legal requirement for a validator to dox himself, so to speak, or to become public. Most of them are actually DAOs and stuff like that. So no one can be held responsible. So yeah, very, very interesting on that front. So Strafe, talk to us a little bit about these two new tabs. Can you talk to us a little bit about those? I think they're quite important. We're trying to replicate Stake ID in a sense, aren't we?
Yes, we want to bring some features that Stake ID had to the LUNCPenguins page, just because they were very helpful. And the first thing we have now done is put up a validators list with voting power and commission rate. And that's something I talked about earlier, the dynamic minimum commission. And so I decided to introduce, I know I haven't talked about that with you prior to doing it, but I thought it might be a good idea. So I introduced some kind of fair commission rate marker, which would mark the commission rate as fair, at least if it's lower than 20% and higher than the half of the voting power. So at this time, there are not many of the top validators that I would think of having a fair commission rate. I think it's only LUNCDAO and StakeBin from the top 10. Everyone else has either 0% or such a low percentage that it's not fair, I think, regarding the voting power they have. So that's the first page that I integrated in the page, and the second one is a list of the proposals with the votings of the different validators. I didn't totally replicate what Stake ID does, listing all votes. I, for now, limited it to the validator votes for each proposal. And that said, I want to pass a question to you. What do you think about 4940, the canonical repository change for the Terra Classic chain?
Let me see. I think this is one that a lot of people have been asking me about today. Which number was it? Sorry, bud?
4940. It is making Git Hub, Terra Rebels
Yeah,
Classic, the
I've been
canonical
looking at this
repository
one.
for the Terra Classic
I
chain.
haven't seen
And
an announcement. This is what there's like no announcement, is there, from Terra Rebels, as far as I'm aware about
no, I
this.
don't. I don't think it is from Terra Rebels. But when you look, you can look at the new page on the LUNCPenguins for the proposals.
Yeah.
There are only 6 validators that voted on it currently. Obviously, not one of the top validators, but all of them voted yes. And I don't know if it's the right time for that,
It's
because
not. It's not. It's really not. We're
no,
not ready to make this jump. We're a very weak
exactly.
system. We've been exploited once, and yeah, I'm not one. You know how I feel about this whole situation with the um because they're going to open up the IBCs using the what's the wallet called, Kepler wallet, which is really
Yeah,
interesting,
Kepler.
and making I'm just not ready to make the jump away from a system which works perfectly. It just needs attention. It's as simple as that.
Mhm.
But yeah, as
Yeah.
to who puts these up, it's kind of a bit sinister, really, isn't it? Because you remember the proposal by AE? Terra Rebels were like, well, we didn't put it up, but we're endorsing it. And it's kind of like, can we start being a bit more honest about where these proposals are actually coming from? Because, we're supposed to provide an Agora
Well,
text.
I think I would try to. I don't know if I can manage to do it, but I think I would try to put at least a marker online if one of the proposals was done by a validator, so that you can see at first sight if it's something that a validator did, or at least a wallet that made the proposal. But at the current time, regarding the mentioned proposal 4940, I think we are currently gladly in the situation which we all did not believe would happen. That TFL merges the code. They merged the code for the chain. They merged the code for the Terra station. They update the Terra station. And why should we, at this moment, force or incentive validators to switch to the Terra Rebels repo? They are doing a good job, of course.
They are. It's
They
unnecessary
made they
stress.
they make they make all this happen, but it would be the wrong sign currently. Why did we try to get TFL on board when we now pass a proposal that says, ignore what TFL did, we don't want to rely on that anymore, and so we, yeah, choose to use the Terra Rebels repo. I'm not happy with that, and I don't know why the validators that are currently voting are voting yes to it. Maybe they have their reasons that I just don't understand, but I have not seen any announcement regarding the votes yet.
Yeah, it's very interesting with this whole moving to a different, well, making the Terra Classic, Terra Rebels repository our main one, which would in effect give them 100% control over all future updates. I mean, if TFL wanted to make an update, it'd have to go through TR in that sense. And yeah, that's great, but I just don't think we are ready for stuff like this. Like I keep saying to people, we can barely walk, and we're trying to run already, which is really, really sucky. But we could possibly add, or put a proposal up or put it forward to Terra Rebels if it gets seen, to try and add a feature in where it shows that the proposal's been created by a validator. I think that's 100% vital, because knowing who's behind these proposals is key. You shouldn't be hiding if you've got the steam to put one of these up, so to speak. You should be really out front with it, speaking about it and things like that. But we have, like we've been saying, we have a huge issue with nodes crying about vote power but not getting involved with anything. You need to be out there. You need to be talking to your community. You need to be providing incentives to come over and delegate. So, Strafe, moving off from stuff like this, let's talk about projects. Let's talk about Metagloria. I mean, we've both worked with Metagloria. You're a big supporter of them. Your display picture is a cacti. Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that. Just talk to people about what's coming. You know quite a lot about it. Just lay it on people that don't really know what Metagloria even is, so
Yeah.
to speak.
To be honest, Metagloria is, I think it was the first project that I supported, and I even minted the one and only of the Cacti on the Luna V2 chain because I just wanted to support it. And
Yeah,
now,
that was when I was in hospital, wasn't it?
yeah, exactly. And I was really glad that they moved over to doing it on the classic chain, although they didn't really get much support in the beginning. I don't think they get the support they deserve currently either. Um, but that's a different topic. So they will bring a Terra Classic marketplace, and I think it should not be long until they release it. Maybe in October. I have no concrete release date, but I think they make good progress on it. And the really good thing about it is they will do it on the classic chain, but they will also support other currencies. And um, I just have not in mind which currencies they are, but it gives people the possibility to kind of join the chain with a interchain marketplace that sits on Classic, and I think that is a great thing. And in addition, they will launch the play to earn game, and I think they released a in-game map for the locations some days or a week ago,
They
which
did.
looks
I've
really promising.
got it up on my screen now. It looks
So
wicked. It absolutely looks
yeah,
wicked. And I've supported
and I think
Metagloria.
it's just the location map. It's just the location map. It's
Yes.
not even a gameplay. So it's really exciting, and I understand that people are cautious supporting or buying because the they have not yet shown anything from the in-game, the gameplay, because it was not ready. But I really hope, as soon as they publish some of in-game renderings or more information about gameplay and something like that, that they get the support they deserve. And I know you support them, and I know you mention them in your videos over and over again, and that's great. But you are nearly the only one that gives them the attention I think they need to get. So I would be really glad if, as soon as they make some new announcements, they get spread out there a bit more than they have been in the past.
Yeah, they really don't get the attention they deserve, in my opinion. We've worked very closely with them. They were kind of dumped on my lap by Vegas, and I honestly believe Vegas should do more work with these projects that he brings forward, because it's not fair for him to do this and then not provide, sustenance, health, energy to these projects that really do need help, and they're going to be providing. I mean, game. My cat literally just caught the biggest fly out of the air that you've ever seen. That was absolutely epic. They in themselves, they had a really, so I broke my back. I was in my operation. I was resuscitated, whatever, all of that crap. I woke up, and probably 3 hours from waking up from my operation, I was in a call with one of the main people, and she's lovely. She's absolutely amazing, and they really did have not so much a bad launch, but it was just, there was so much there was something going on at that time which was insane, and it was really like putting all the attention on that. But yeah, we really do need more people, Strafe, talking about all of these really good NFT projects, you know, game projects. And Lunar Burning Nights is one of these projects at the moment, which is similar to Metagloria. They're building a game. You can mint their NFTs at the moment, and they're going to be bringing a lot more forward for the community. So, you know, why are these important, Strafe? What is this all about? You know, if Metagloria are going to be, you know, incorporating all these different coins, surely this is a really good use case, isn't it? We would need more and more and more of these. I mean, the game market's huge. It's absolutely huge. Mobile games, even bigger.
Yeah, of course. I think I know those projects always currently advertise with the burn tax they implement in their game mechanics or marketplaces or something like that. And that's good because it gives them some attention, as burning is currently, the community is currently in burning mode, I would say. But the burning that projects bring is nothing compared to what you can achieve for the chain with the projects themselves. They bring transaction volume. They bring something that you can spend your coins on. Currently, you can mint some NFT. Sorry to say that, but there's a crap marketplace. Tellus. They don't reply to emails or support messages.
Terrible.
At least not
so
mine.
Bad.
The website doesn't work on mobile and all such things. And what other marketplace that sits on the classic chain do you have to mint NFT with LUNC? LUNAPunks. Of course, they have a launchpad, but currently, great as they are, they only have 3 projects, 2 on the launchpad and their own LUNAPunks. And that's not many NFT, not many different NFT you can mint, not many things you can spend. You can really spend your LUNC on. So currently, the main thing you can do with your LUNC is either hold them, put them on a CEX and trade them, or swap them via Astroport or Terra swap for UST if you want to. But there's no real utility like playing games, buying things that you really can use later on. And that's something that those places will bring. In-game purchases. Imagine how much money is spent on in-game purchases on classic mobile games, not related to crypto or cryptocurrencies, just in US dollar. And that's something that will give LUNC really, really good value, because you can buy in-game things, some maybe upgrades or whatever, and you can trade on marketplaces, because I'm sure that once there is a better marketplace than Talos, you will have more NFT projects that will launch. You have more trades, more volume, and that's what currently matters. Because all those DeFi apps have a problem when they rely on the stablecoin. So until we manage to somehow solve that UST problem, we probably won't see getting them back to the chain, or at least not fully. And so we have to rely on other use cases, and that's gaming, NFT, and such things. And so I'm glad we will see real projects on the classic chain.
Definitely. So another one of these projects is a really good one, and I've been waiting to speak about this one specifically on this podcast episode, and it's LunaPunks. Now, for people who don't know what a LunaPunk is or who LunaPunks are, They are a NFT project. They're around before the capitulation event. They survived the capitulation event and they didn't bail out on us. And their project's built into the ecosystem. And we're going to have a big issue when this burn tax comes into play, because it's going to affect the reward system for Lunapunks in a really severe way. Strafe, are you aware of this?
I know that the problem is that the same problem that's with all projects using those contracts, the smart contracts, because the text doesn't only apply to send transactions, it also applies to contract executions. And if you don't know it, contract executions occur when you mint an NFT, when you send an NFT, and all those things related to those projects. And Lunapunks especially distributes part of the fees for transferring the Lunapunks, or even for the Launchpad project, to a treasury wallet. And they stake that, and from the staking returns, they distribute them to all the existing Lunapunks. And that's great, but if all those transactions will get taxed, and I am not sure how many of those transactions will get taxed, that could drain their treasury, or at least lower the amount of coins that comes to treasury from each transaction. Personally, I think in case of an NFT project, that's not so severe, because 1.2%. Let's take the example of the Luna Burning Nights that are on the Lunapunks Launchpad. They burn 40% of the minting price. And so 1.2% compared to 40% is like nothing. So I don't think they will suffer that much from the problem, but I might be wrong on that. I have not talked with the founder of the project about that topic, and of course I don't know all the interns of the contracts he uses. But I think a bigger problem will be for projects like Terra or Astroport, because they rely on the exchange rates, and if they have to tax 1.2% extra, or even 2.4% maybe, depending on how they handle it internally, the swapping off market, because the market module internal swap is something completely different. How we currently can swap LUNC and UST is via DApps with smart contracts. So those will get taxed. The market module that did the swapping earlier would not be taxed in this way, because it has a separate tax on it that would not apply to this burn tax we will have started in, I think, 1 day, 1.5 days. I'm not sure currently.
Let me check the all handy. It's like a Swiss Army website, in my opinion. It just does it all. I can't say what it is, but we have a thing in the UK and it does exactly what it says on the tin. We have got, my good friend, we've got 1 day, 15 hours, 16 minutes and 50 seconds and counting.
So it might be after this time is reached, swapping on TerraSwap and Astroport through Terra Station will be not so useful anymore, because your swap ratio will get worse, and might get a lot worse than before. So that's one thing. If I would rely on big amounts of UST swapped, like those projects are, I would be a bit concerned about that. But on NFT projects, I can't say if it's really that bad as some expect it to be. I think that would be something that has to be discussed with the founder or the creator of the project, who knows how the contract make the transactions. But 1.2% in the NFT sector should not be that much, especially as you cannot avoid it by just moving to a different NFT project if you want to stay on chain.
I think it's more an issue on the rewards side of what LUNAPunks actually pays out, which it has an effect on because of the message type or the transaction type, that is used is one of these ones that get taxed 1.2%, meaning you're taxed, on a very, very small amount of coins. It just kind of, we don't know how the NFT system on LUNAPunk side is going to react. And obviously, they're not like Talisa.
Yeah.
They provide a launch pad which enables people to build their NFT projects on the blockchain's technology without actually creating the technology usage themselves. Hippie's already created it. So, for the everyday person that's looking to launch a LUNACLASSIC NFT project on the blockchain and you don't want to go through spinning up a website, doing all of the hard work yourself, you can always go and launch on the LUNAPunk's launchpad system, which I believe is really good. He has Luna Bugs launched on there. They sold out quite quick. And we've got Luna Burning Nights on there at the moment, which is starting to, gain traction and get seen. And these games, these NFT projects are kind of like our cream at the moment. It's kind of like being a painter and decorator that's hired to, you've got a government contract to paint, the power tannoys once a year. And say like your business has been bad all year, you're okay because you can rely on your governmental work that is not going to dry up. It's always going to be there. It's kind of like your bread and butter, so to speak. So I think it's really important and imperative people start to pay more attention to projects and trying to get involved with them. And that's not saying to people to invest, buy NFTs and stuff like that, but do your own research, do your own due diligence. And the more you recognize, that holding a bag and burning a bag is not getting you to where you need to be, you'll realize that new investors, usage of the coin, drive trying to get retail back involved, which we're still far too early on for that, but it's something that's possible down the line. So yeah, it's imperative.
And what I want to say is, about those projects, there are always some rumors about LUNAPunks migrating over to the V2 chain, and that's not the case. They think about launching a second collection on the V2 chain to spread out further. And what I don't like is that people always jump on every little information they get without understanding it, and then pointing fingers at some projects. Oh, they are leaving, and we see that all the time. And I think that is something that has to stop, because we need a united chain, and we don't need those people always trying to blame other projects or things like that. And that's something I think is very important.
Definitely. And the overall adoption of, all of these kind of projects and games, NFT projects and stuff like that, it's kind of, me and Strafe, we strive to ensure we're providing the correct information as much as we can. And we do have clashes where we went through this situation with coins, coming forward to burn. We were getting about 100 coins a day contacting us at one point. It was just ridiculous. And we can't endorse things that are not actually built on the blockchain, in my opinion. And I know Strafe will stand kind of by that, but I don't want to speak for him. But yeah, we should be having more, that we've seen people getting themselves in place, getting validators nodes from inside Terra Rebels, but we're just not seeing this overall drive on utility. It's strange. And it seems people are more interested in positioning themselves in positions of power, fame, or bettering their own position than actually, working with other projects to bring forward. And I myself started a Terra Classic TV alliance system, and no one was interested. It just sucks to say that to you, but just no one was generally interested. And I was putting in so much work for nothing, for, people to just not care anyway. And, a lot of these influencers are not interested in helping each other because they're more interested in the gains, so to speak, and the money, the views. stuff like that. So they just chase gold.
Regarding the coins, I want to say something about that. My problem with those coin projects is they advertise rewards and burns. So far, so good. But when they have a 10% buy tax and a 10% sell tax, that means when you buy in, you kind of have rely on the fact that they go 20x, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to sell anymore. And that's something that that I think brings whales to the plan and manipulate those charts, and mostly those small holders will get wrecked. Maybe not even intentionally by the creators of those coin, but why do you buy into a coin? Mostly because you want to make profit from it. I think mostly you buy into a coin because you think it will develop well, and you might make some gains out of it. But with those coins, it's kind of the narrative that you do something good for the chain. Yes, they burn, and Lunatic's token, like you said, they burn 2 billion. That's nothing you can ignore. But I really have a problem with people that buy into it without exactly knowing what they do. And I think the majority of users that buy into the coin just have the image in mind, oh, they are good for the chain, they burn, and I get rewards. And that is not the way a project should attract new users. And that's my problem with the coins. And that's why I totally agreed that we stop putting any coin related things on the website, on the projects list, because they might support the chain with burns a bit, but mostly they support their own coins, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. And, one of these coins capitulated the other coins now, incentivizing people to, buy the other token instead of buying into LUNACLASSIC, which is not nice to see because they're supposed to support the chain, incentivize people into buying LUNACLASSIC. So, yeah. But
yeah, indeed.
We have to make horrible decisions sometimes, and it's not always easy for us from where we're standing, because, we've got a responsibility to all of the people that are coming to this website for information. It's not just there to suit one individual, so to speak. So, yeah, very interesting.
I have to say, I mean, you are the face, in a way, the face of the site, and you get all the heat for the decisions that are made for the site. But it's not that you decide what happens on the page. Either I decide or we decide together because we think it's better for the community. And so I would like people to stop bringing up heat for maybe not being listed on the website, because it is not up to HCC to decide which project comes on the site. It's my decision. I discuss it with him, and I am glad that he gives his opinion and brings forward projects that we might take on the page. But I don't like to hear that people complain to him about being removed or not being put on the list. That's nothing I like to see.
Yeah, exactly, because ultimately I don't make any final decisions on the website. I can only, explain to you what's going on and what's going on with the communities and stuff like that. Like, I don't get the choice. But yeah, you're right, dude. I do take the heat, but that's why we built the website. That's what we're here for. We're punching bags when people need us, and we're here for hugs when they need us even more. And we love everybody equally. We don't shun people. We just, we only support the blockchain. And we've realized this more and more as we've moved along, that, our position of getting a validators node is more than just getting a validators node. It's actually providing another node where, you know, the delegation amount can be spread out to another trusted validator, because the issue we're seeing is none of these validators, people are always like, who should I delegate with? And it's like, well, you know, you have to go through and read about them. And loads of them are like, I don't like any of the projects. I don't know who to delegate with. So, you know, we really need more active validators, like actual active validators. So possibly when new validators come on board, we'll see some good results, because new projects, new validators, new ideas, fresh blood, active validators list set of 130. And then that means, you know, there's always a fight to stay in that active set list. It incentivizes people more to be more active, in my opinion. So, yeah, very interesting. What do you think about...
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because we both know, you know, this date was put in place for specific reasons. So yeah, it's going to be vital who people do delegate with, and it's all good as saying, you know, spread your delegations out, but always do your own research, folks. Do your own due diligence. Try use the tools that we provide for you, and you know, we'll try update the validators list with as much detail as we can cram in for you as possible. But
and please don't look at the commission rate at first. Because I know people are greedy sometimes, but I said this before. The commission rate is the part of the rewards that the validator keeps. So that means even if there is a 5% or 10% commission rate, you still get 95 or 90% of the rewards that are spread out to the delegators. And we currently still have an insane APY for LUNACLASSIC. We have around 40% APY currently. That is so much. And why does it matter if you get 40% APY on your holdings that you delegate, or maybe 35% APY? I think it's really important that you don't look at getting zero commission to delegate to. That is not the reason you should delegate to a validator. I know people are here for the gains, but it's not the right decision that you make only on the commission rate without looking at what the specific validator does, how he votes on proposals. Is it good for the chain? What he votes on, and I think we can't stress this enough. The commission rate is not the first thing you should look at.
No, it shouldn't be. And a lot of people need to understand as well, when you delegate with one of these nodes, you're providing them with, you know, equity. You're providing them with rewards as well as yourself. And if you're helping the right nodes, you're helping the overall community, because a lot of these validators should be putting as much as they can be back into the system and helping wherever they can, instead of taking the rewards and running off, so to speak, with them, or just, you know, taking the liquidity to another chain. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. And the daily staking return at the moment, according to Terra Station Strafe, is 0.91%. A day. We've got a staking ratio of only 8.31%. I mean, there's such a bigger market to capture right now, isn't there? There's so many more coins out there to be staked.
To be honest, I am very, very confused, so to say, why there's such a low staking ratio of 8.3%. I think it's explainable because the price of LUNC is so volatile. So people don't want to get their coins locked for 21 days at least to be able to react on price movements. But of course, no one of us in here is allowed or can give financial advice, and we won't do that. But I don't think it is necessary to keep all your coins for having them ready to sell. Why don't you simply delegate a part of your coins? it's helping the stability of the chain to delegate. It's mostly it will be spreading the voting power more than it is currently. Then because imagine we were at 15% staking ratio. There were nearly 400 billion more coins to distribute to validators, and hopefully those that would delegate then would not only choose the top validators. But I still don't know why we have such a low staking ratio. I would have expected a lot more. I think I would have expected 20%
Yes.
at the current date.
That was what I pretty much had estimated inside my own mind. I mean, we have spoken about this many of times, but we just, it's peculiar. But at the same time, we know a lot of coins are on exchanges, and I think you're so right, Strafe. It's so volatile at the moment. People are not wanting to probably lock up their coins for. I mean, if you lock them up for a day, you undelegate them, you've got a 21-day wait before you get those coins back. So, and we have seen coins become undelegated. We do track this on LUNCPenguin, so to speak. The actual amount together with what's being unbonded currently is 9.53%, but it will be down to 8.30% once that becomes, undelegated, right?
Yes, the strange thing is in the calculation of the circulating supply, the unbonded, so the undelegating coins are not taken into account. But on the staking ratio and the staked amount, they are also not taken into account. So those currently 84 billion or 85 billion that are in undelegation mode, they are in the total supply, of course, but they are kind of nowhere else. They are like in a shadow universe or something like that. And I think currently it's still that we get more delegations than undelegations, but the amount of delegations is getting lower. So I'm not sure. Maybe in 1 month. I don't know. Maybe in 1 month we will be at a point where delegations and undelegations reach equal amount. So we will not get a higher staking ratio, at least until new validators can join. But that's just something that I could imagine to see.
Yeah, that's when I possibly thought, we might see another big move out of the Binance hot wallet is when possibly new validators come on board. And, these validators that are creating new ones are going to be self-staking quite a lot of coins or giving them to people to delegate with them or something like that. We all know about stuff like that. So, Strafe, let's talk a little bit about Anchor Protocol. What do you know about Anchor Protocol?
Oh, Anchor Protocol, yes, a hard topic. I don't know that much about it. What I know of is that it played a role in the capitulation because it offered way too high rewards, fixed rewards without any lock-up period. So when I began looking at money flow on-chain in the transactions, I saw one wallet putting $4 million in the Anchor protocol. And you can imagine with a fixed APY of 16 to 20%, someone mentioned because of calculation errors in the code, it was 26%. How much coins that is that were brought into the system without being really backed up. And during capitulation or before capitulation, those coins could be used to bring the system down. Imagine you have staked $4 million for half a year. You will get nearly 1 million in addition. You could just put 5 million out of Anchor Protocol at one time. And as far as I'm aware from what people are saying, as I was not part of that phase, but that was part of the problem, that there was not a good protocol, not well thought, because it has no real security mechanisms. It offered a way too high reward which was fixed and not flexible, at least. If there will ever be something like Anchor V2 for Classic Chain or something, there will have to be really, really much mind work on how to get it right. I know, or I can imagine the use case for it. It's like a bank savings account where the bank should loan the money they get out to someone else and lock it for withdrawal for a certain period. So there is a use case for such things, even on the Classic chain. But again, this only makes sense with a packed UST, in my opinion. So Anchor, I think, is very far away to even think of doing it again.
In my opinion, it's one of the biggest.
I might be wrong about it.
Such a big Ponzi scheme, just the way it was built. You know, it was just built for people to basically rape, pillage, and plunder the blockchain, so to speak. And you know, these kind of protocols that allow lending against the blockchain, I believe is too soon. And it's the same with having anything like Anchor protocol being brought into the blockchain right now. It could be devastating. If someone could figure out a way to run off with a lot of the equity that we have built up so far. So a lot of thought needs to be put into all of these things. So Strafe, we've been going for about an hour and 26 minutes now. So we'll sort of bring this. Yeah.
Time flows so fast.
It does. And, you know, we never time our conversations, but I can't imagine sometimes they go on for a very long time. We have a lot to discuss, but folks, I really hope you got some good information from both myself and Strafe, especially. He's very knowledgeable. We'll be having him on again in a few podcasts time to discuss more current things that are going on, and we'll be bringing Strafe on for more episodes just to discuss things with you folks, and not also hear it from possibly like my standpoint, but also hearing things from Strafe's standpoint as well. As so, folks, stay safe out there. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, neither is Strafe. We're just both two dudes giving our opinion on the current situations in hand. That's goodbye from me and goodbye from Strafe.
Yeah, and, goodbye, and don't look at the commission rate.
Always think carefully, folks, about who you delegate with. Do stay safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next one.